On this episode of What Did Johnny Learn Today? Yeah, nothing. I got nothing. I didn't learn anything today. I didn't learn anything last Saturday. I didn't learn. It's been all week. It's all week. Yeah, I didn't learn anything. Actually, I learned a whole lot. I have learned so much this week, from what diodes do to wiring to shorts to all sorts of fun stuff that we're going to dive in today. We're going to wire a radio today. I'm just going to kind of go through the process of what I've learned, and this is a continuation of the mousetrap video, if you didn't catch that. So yeah, let's just dive in and we'll start going through piece by piece on all this lovely electrical. So let's start from the top. That alarm, AA2, has been malfunctioning ever since last weekend when I cranked it up trying to go do a maintenance run and all that. Some of y'all caught that video. So basically, I'm going to walk through all the steps of what I found with this situation as to what AA2 is, where it's going, and just the debacle of this week. So let's get into it. So I don't know how this video is going to get edited or hodgepodged or whatever, but these schematics, basically what happened is AA2 I know is malfunctioning. Got behind the dash, checking wires, saw one or two tube, nothing having to do with AA2. So if you type in AA2 up here, it's going to go through and a lot of these are revisions, but it will show you everywhere AA2 is located in this PDF. Super handy. All you gotta do is download this from Prevost website. Sorry, I know I'm gonna offend some people with terminology, but I want to go through this little section right here really quickly, because this is actually was a little confusing. I did not really understand some of these terms and just different things like that. So first off, let's go up here. This says from wheelchair system door alarm signal or door ajar signal. And this is going down over into that SON alert. And in contrast, this other line right here is going up to this emergency switch, which is going to the lavatory, basically. If you notice, this is lavatory. I'm gonna try to save y'all all the boring little details, but that symbol right there is a diode, and there is a legend. If you know more than 5 years old and you've ever dealt with a map, there's a legend that tells you exactly how this, what all these symbols mean and stuff like that. That is your ground stud. So you got a ground, and basically it's in signal over here, and that is your hot wire. It should be 24 volt. Never got 24. It had 12. That's why the beeping was annoying. However, those diodes, okay, basically what happens is two wires go into one, and so that they don't backfeed, they have diodes. Diodes are basically one-way streets. They go into this C71 wire loom and into 27A. I've traced 27A as the wire. That right there, that is the wire number. So that number, I traced it back. I did a continuity test, so on and so forth. It was showing okay, showing good. All I did was unplug C71, and all of a sudden my voltage went from 12 to like 5, and now it's like down to 2, or actually non-existent because it's not chirping anymore. I think it may have got some water in it or something like that. That is one thing that Prevost mentioned could have happened, that they have seen before. But I do want to walk y'all through one little step on the diodes and just kind of talk about that real quick, because that was new to me. And let me just say, first things first, all of these are fuses. I pulled my hair out for about 2 or 3 days. Came in here and I tried to kill power. So I've got the alarm going off, and logical thing, kill power. Well, oddly enough, that did not do it. That didn't do anything actually. So if you look on here, it does tell you exactly what the fuses are. And I went through and just pulling my hair out, trying to figure this out. as to why it was still beeping when there was supposed to be no power going to it. So it was lavatory and wheelchair. All those fuses are out. No power, at least that's what it should have been. Let's go to the front bay. So coming up here to the front bay, the first thing the Prevost Tech told me to do was to pull those diodes out. And for those of you that don't know, basically what the diode is, power comes in here, goes over, and goes down. It does not let it backfeed. Basically, my understanding of diodes, one-way drips. And for those of you that are super techs and electronics gurus, please correct me. I know I'm probably not explaining that well. That was the first thing he told me to do, and still had power. At this point, really baffling. I, looking at these wires on back into that loom of lovely stuff. You can see on here, actually, it's kind of funny, that 27A, it probably won't say, 27A is the wire. It's got the labels on there. You can see these labels on these wires. There we go. And it goes over here. I've been wiring that radio stuff. Goes there and then goes into, it's C71. You can see it right there. Well, this is where it got fun. The Prevost Tech told me, he said, I have seen these connections get water in them. And then cause a short, so on and so forth. So what I did was I pulled that C71 big loom apart, sprayed it out with cleaner, electronics cleaner, and then I put more dielectric grease in it. And that took the voltage, let me show you all up here on the inside the coach now. So that took the voltage on AA2 down from, and all it is, because I've got it all pulled apart, like I said, wiring a radio and all this other stuff. You got a positive and negative down here on AA2. And if you cross between the positive and negative with your voltmeter, I was getting 12 volts. And then when I pulled the wires down there, pulled it apart, it went to 5, and now it's down to 2, if not any. It is not beeping. It was clicking almost like a blinker for a little while there. So really strange. And so the best I can tell, basically that 27A had a short in it. Let me show y'all. My wife's, my family's having an estate sale for my grandmother. Basically, you see where that OL and that continuity test, basically you run on one end of the wire to the other end of the wire to find continuity. And then also, if you put on one side of this diode, and like I said, doing this with one hand, so I apologize, it'll give you, if you get OL, that means that you're going the wrong direction. But you should get a meter on if you do it. So that way, I'm getting that. But if I turn it around, I should be getting, yep, that. And evidently from my research, that is a good number for the diode. And that just means that it is going in that direction. So there may be some crosstalk somewhere, some way in that loom of wire, a short, obviously, but there's not enough voltage to really be that concerned about it. The honest response from people that know what they're doing, they're like, just pull the alarm. Not really something I wanted to do, and I actually didn't have to do it because for some reason, once I cleaned up that loom, it seemed to cause that short to go away. So that's that. I have repaired a couple little pieces of chewed wire and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's the mouse story for now. So far, so good. We're going to go run it probably tomorrow. We're going to go camping next weekend, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss that. And yeah, let's get onto that radio now. All right, so let's talk about the radio side of things. I have this dash, like I said, dismantled absolutely. So I want to explain something. Basically, the radio, which I will at some point replace with a double DIN radio or whatever. But this radio is controlled by this head from the coach side of things. Well, that is all of these wires and this loom of wires that goes right down there and goes into the first cargo bay. Well, all of that is dismantled. So I have pulled I've got all the radio stuff. If anybody needs any of that and wants to, buy it, that's fine. Hit me up. However, I have got to get power to that radio, and so me and the bus man are investigating, the best way to go about that, right? And so I've got a bunch of extra wires here, and all the wires are labeled, so on and so forth. And the one wire I was trying to, see if I could pull from was maybe this C18 or C2, C128, C218, excuse me. That wire goes to the camera, which does not exist as far as the coach side, but that was not providing me power. So I've been trying to figure out, we still got to put the alarm back, pull that out for testing so I can check voltage. Anyway, so what I decided to do was I've already got a wire ran for my backup camera that I installed, and there's power run to it. So let me show you what I'm going to do to get power to the radio. All right, so I was very fortunate to already have this wire ran, this black wire ran. What it was is they had a GPS locator on this coach. Well, obviously I don't need a GPS. I know where I'm at as far as for fleet services. Took that wire, snipped the wire, used the black and white wire because the white wire is over here connected to this little fuse block. So let me explain something. So that wire is ignition side, and that is on the master side. So whenever the coach is turned on, this is your 12 volt block, this is your 24 volt. Your 12 volt, when the master switch is on, this red wire is always on, and then this one comes on with the ignition. So it made it really easy. So when I turn the ignition on, boom, I have backup camera. So what I'm going to do now, because there's a wire that I had taped off, for obviously so it wouldn't spark or whatever, tucked back in there. I'm gonna peel that wire back, and you can barely see the red right there. I'm gonna cut it back. I'm gonna splice into it, and I'm gonna use that to run up to and power the radio. And I'm going to switch the red from this side on the master side over to the ignition. So I'm going to run both of these wires off the ignition side. So 12 volt. So I'm going to show you one other thing that I did. So being a 16-year-old kid, I did a lot of radio wiring whenever I was younger, and wiring stereos and stuff like that. This is my hot. It goes to 12. You see, this is where 12 volt. That originally went into that loom, went down to basically a 12 volt and a 24 volt supply downstairs that comes straight from that block that I just showed you. I snipped these wires because they're not hot, because they're inactive, and I'm going to splice this black and yellow into that red wire that I found that I'm going to peel back from the ignition side of the coach, and that should give me my radio. And then after that, I got to figure out the speakers. But yeah, for now, that's what we got going. So I'm going to show y'all something I have not showed anybody, or we haven't went over on the videos yet. So that right there is a converter. That is a 24 to 12 converter. And what I did was piped in from my 24, there's black and red, and you wire it just according. And I put a switch on it, and that is what charges my batteries going down the road. It pulls from the coach from an existing wire, which is actually the radio wire, going straight over to that little fuse block I was showing you, and it charges the batteries while going down the road. A little factoid that I have never really talked about. But also, those wires from the back of the dash go right back there. Well, they did go right back there and into the front bin where the spare tire is up behind the dash. Well, I've disconnected it from here to the dash, but the dash, I never pulled out all the wires behind the dash. Kind of glad I didn't, because I found some other stuff in those looms that I probably, you know, HVAC type stuff that's all tied in. So anyway, that's kind of what we got going on the power side. Just wanted to show y'all there. The capped off yellow and black, that is actually your 12 volt. So I could technically run 12 volt from there to the front, but I've already got it in that little electrical side. So just pigtail off that, change the connection on the red wire, and call it a day. This is what we call forced piddling. So this mouse has forced me into piddling, which is what I love to do. And if you don't know what piddling is you got to get your redneck dictionary. It's basically where you just piddle, you just get stuff done, sort of stuff done, maybe get something done. It'll eventually get done, but you just relax, you just chill, and you just kind of mess around with stuff, and that's called piddling. And so we're going to piddle. We're going to pull that wire, put that over there, and meter that wire out, make sure that is 12 volt, and just kind of think about that, see if we want to do that, because I may go get a CB today from Mom's and maybe try to hook it up, see what's up. I don't know. Just piddling, just cleaning up wires and piddling. So since I'm the king of not throwing things away, I saved a couple of these blocks like this. Really cool little fuse blocks. Same thing, right? So nifty little rail system they have going on. But I need one of those bolts right there, or nuts right there, excuse me. And so I'm gonna take a washer and a nut off of one of these, and I'm gonna put it on there, and that way it gives a little space, so I'm not, I mean, probably should go back, but so I'm not bending plastic like that anymore. Trying to put this third terminal on there, and that will give me a line for a CB eventually. If I want to do that, I may go look in the garage, my mother's garage, to get a couple of CBs. And we may wire up a CB today, we may not, but at least it's already pre-wired. That those wires is black and red, run up through the hole up there behind the the tag lift and all that, the low buoy. That's the word I'm looking for. Low buoy. All right, I'm gonna tell on myself. When I say I don't throw anything away, look at all these struts and stuff that come from the bus originally. Um, all these bolts and nuts, these, nails, screws, speakers. We're gonna wire up. But right now I'm after a bolt. Excuse me, a nut. Keep this term. Anyway, I'm trying to find a nut that will go on that ground stud so I can ground my radio. Let me just try this one real quick. And I get it honest, y'all. This was my grandpa's. I mean, there is miscellaneous anything. Just because you never know when you might need it. It may be 15 years. You never know. All right, now the yellow ugly wire with the bolt. That's the ground stud. Got that red wire. Now we're connected red back over to the red to the right, and now we have power. And it should work, and we have the ignition on. So let's go test it and see what's going on. So now that my heart's pumping a little more, just so y'all know, when you leave that master switch on and then you flip the batteries on, because we're working with the batteries off, obviously, so we don't get a little zippity zap, it will make a big click and scare the crap out of you. So FYI on that. So now let's test and see if we have power to those wires. The bus man went inside, so this may be a little tricky. I may have to get him back out here to test said wires with said voltmeter. Let me see if I can figure this out. All right, now let's test and see if we're as smart as we think we are. See if we can get these probes in here. And we have a volt. 12.2, sweet. So now let's verify that it is on the ignition side. So I should have no volts now if it is working the way I want it to. Now we have zero volts. So now we'll just hook it up to the radio, and we should have radio, and then we will run some speaker wires. Maybe not today, maybe today. We'll see how the day goes. And yeah, so that is wiring a radio from the ignition side on a Prevost H3-45. So there you go. I will say this radio has been well loved. Oh, it works. And static. It will connect to Bluetooth, but one thing I just learned that my Bluetooth, if I connect it while I'm doing video, it will not do the audio. So there is that. I've got that going and a big pile of electrical mess. So that speaker is going to go in. That's what that hole right there is for. So I've got that, and then I'm going to put one over here somewhere. Original plan was to cut out a hole back there, maybe right there. Don't really know what we're going to do with that, but for now I got a little music going, so we're going to button that up and clean up these wires, zip tie them, and call it a day. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I want to go over exactly what we accomplished today, which was actually kind of a lot. I've been wanting to do this radio for a while, so we got the radio working now. It is good to go, and then also I'll clean my mess up tomorrow, so don't judge me. Did something I didn't actually mention. I leveled this table out a little bit. This table is always these little mounts. They're pretty heavy duty mounts, but they just had this little sag in them, so I put some washers behind there and nobody will ever see. And then also got the radio, and I guess I picked the ugliest grill, so I may change that out. I have like 20 speakers. Got all that going, so I'd call that a good day. Real good day actually. Have the estate sale going on down the street, selling some of my junk. And so we're going camping next weekend. We're going to try somewhere new. The equestrian, it's actually an equestrian campground, not previously open to everybody, only for actually campers that have horses and stuff like that, horse trailers, etc. But it's about 56 sites up in Blackwater. Basically we couldn't get our normal camp places, so we're going to try somewhere new with some friends. And so y'all like and subscribe so you follow along with us for the next adventure, because it's always something with us. Love you guys. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks so much for watching. Bless y'all.